Wake up, get the money, consume and repeat. They look at you funny if you don't compete for $1 and a dream. Have you ever wanted something so bad?
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Music.Money.Mind, brought to you by theendlessiam.com, where you can find inspiration on how to expand, express, and empower. Sometimes I mix up the order of those things, but you get the point. You can find new music on there and lots of other fun things. So, hello, and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about how to stay consistent with your content, whatever that may be, whether it is just social media posting, or podcasts or blogs, or your music, your photography, your modeling, whatever it is. Huge disclaimer before I start. I know what some of you are thinking who have been following me for a long time. Why the hell would I talk about consistency? Because I have been far from consistent. Well, calm down, first of all. Calm your tits. I'm talking about it because I struggled with it for so long, and I started so many projects that I didn't finish. And if you're anything like me and you're watching this, it's probably because you are like me, in the sense that you get really excited about new ideas. Whether it's like, oh, I'm going to start this blog, I'm going to start this video thing, I'm going to start posting on YouTube, or whatever it may be. You get excited, you get inspired, and you're like, all right, I'm going to hustle. Just like people say that they're going to start going to the gym on Monday, and they're going to start packing their lunches. They do it for 2 weeks, and then they stop, and then never go back. It happens. So many of us get excited, and in that excitement, in that inspiration, we go. Good for you for going, right? I mean, applaud yourself that at least you go after things that you want. But a lot of us start stuff and then we get tired, or it gets too hard, or we get too busy, and it's like, I really can't keep up with posting once a week on YouTube, or posting every day on Instagram, or working out every day, or whatever. First of all, it's normal. You're not alone. So we're going to talk about some strategies. Like I said, the only reason I'm talking about this is because since I had such a problem with it for so long, staying consistent on posting on social media, and just like this, right? I was going to drop a new episode of this podcast every week, blah, blah, blah. I always set these high goals, but they're always unrealistic. And then I don't realize how busy I am. And then I always I don't even say I'm going to stop doing stuff. I just slowly back out, like, oh, I'm a backpedal on what I said about posting a video every week. I'm just going to kind of slowly just stop doing it and hope no one notices. But yeah, it's something that I struggled with, and I've recently kind of learned new strategies. I'm actually working with a coach who's helping me learn marketing and branding and really how to develop what I do, and just giving me so many amazing ideas and strategies. So I am learning these things, and that's why I want to share them if you have these struggles. None of these things are mind-blowing, revolutionary ideas. They're things that people have been using and doing for so long. So, don't expect some crazy enlightenment to happen here today. Anyways, let's get into it. So, when you have a new idea, maybe you want to start a new podcast, blog, or maybe you just want to be consistent about posting on Instagram every day, or you're working on an album and you want to be consistent about, putting out new music or working on new music every day or every week, or whatever the goal is, whatever it is you're excited about content-wise that you want to get consistent on. I think the first thing you need to do is make sure when you have that inspired idea, okay, I want to create this video blog on YouTube. I'm gonna create a show where I do this or that. When you first get that inspiration, first of all, let it in. Be excited about it. It's so much fun to get into that excitement of that idea, of any idea. It feels good. It's fresh. It's new. It feels amazing. So definitely don't deprive yourself of feeling that joy and that excitement first and foremost. It's a beautiful thing. Let yourself soak it in and feel good about it. But here's what you do. After you have that experience, rather than jumping into action on it, whether that's like, okay, I need to buy all this equipment, or I need to tell these people about it, or post about it, I'm going to announce it, or, I'm going to go buy the domain name for this website or whatever, spend all this money on this and that, whatever. Rather than jumping right into action, play with the idea more. Milk it a little bit. Don't forget about it. Don't walk away from it. Don't doubt it or be unsure about it. That's not what I'm saying. But milk the excitement and the idea part of it first. So what I mean by that is, let's say that you got inspired to start a new podcast. Since we're on a podcast, let's just use that example. Revel in the ideas that you have about it. Write it all out. What is it about? What do you want to call it if you have a name for it yet, or throw around some ideas? What are the types of content and episodes that you actually would want to record? Why do you want to do this? Is it because you really feel good about sharing these ideas, or because you want to have conversations with people? Like, identify what it is that you like about this idea, right? Because it's not just the ins and outs of creating a podcast. There's a reason that you want to do it. And maybe that is because you want to interview people and you love having good conversations. Great. So identify that and write that out and make sure that you know why you want to do this crazy new idea that you have. Play with it for a while. Let it sit. You don't have to let it sit for too long. I'm not saying don't go after what you want, but you don't need to jump into action and force it into reality so fast. I'm definitely somebody who's always had to work on patience. I'm not saying that you need to develop being patient. I'm just saying that you need to recognize if you are impulsive, because I'm definitely an impulsive person. I make a lot of impulsive decisions that I've had to really deal with the consequences later. Usually it's been with money or with my time and committing to things I can't really commit to. But anyways, don't jump into action yet. That's kind of the point of this first part. Let yourself revel in the idea a little bit. Chill out. All right? Calm yourself. Just revel in it. Just milk it a little bit first. Then when it comes down to the actual meat and potatoes, if you're still excited about it after you've reveled in it for a little bit, you still feel good about it, then start planning out, okay, number one, how many times a week do I want to do this thing? So if it's a vlog or a podcast, how many episodes per week or per month do I want to put out? What feels good to you? Don't say every day if you don't really want to do that many, right? If this is something that you're excited about, but you don't necessarily feel like this is going to be your new full-time thing, don't commit to doing it just because, I know I can get more views and I can build more momentum if I do it every day. That might work for somebody, but somebody who's like a YouTuber or a podcaster who's really successful, who posts every day, that's because that's their main identity. Like, that's who they feel they are, is a podcaster or a YouTuber. It's not a hobby for them. It's not like this is the new thing I just want to try out. That is their life, right? That's their lifestyle. Just like somebody who's a bodybuilder, their life is the gym and is fitness and health. They don't do it on the weekends for fun. They don't go to the gym here and there. No, it's their life. So recognize the difference. If it is something that you suddenly now want to take over your life, great. Then you should post every day. But understand that you're going to have to shift into that new identity of, I am this, I do this every day. If not, say, okay, I want to do it once a week or once a month or whatever. Write that out. Make sure it feels good to you. Here's the key. It's so simple, and I'm not the one that came up with this idea, but I understand it now. Let's say you want to post one episode a week, or you want to drop something on Instagram once a day or whatever. Look at your schedule. Look at how much time you actually have to dedicate to it. If you've got 10 hours a week to dedicate to it, great. You have a lot of time. If you only have 2 hours a week realistically to dedicate to it, that's fine too. Be real about it. How many hours do you actually have to dedicate to it? How much energy can you really put into it? Plan the content ahead of time. That doesn't mean that you have to write out the ideas for every post and episode, because I'm a creative person. I don't like too much planning. plan a little bit, but I do want to be inspired to do something, right? I don't want to plan every song that I write. That would be crazy in my mind. But plan out how many episodes you want or how many pieces of content you want to do, and test it out first by, let's say you're doing the podcast, record, if you're dropping 1 episode a week, record 4 to 8 to 12, however many you can do, podcast episodes first. This is the thing. We speak it into existence, this thing we want to do, and we commit to doing it, and we don't prepare ahead of time, so then we just start doing it. I'm going to do it every Tuesday, and then every Tuesday comes, and after like 3 weeks, you're like, oh my God, I'm too busy to do this every Tuesday. Instead of doing that, take 1 day out of your week. This is what I do for social media posts now. I take every Wednesday, I take like 2 hours, and I either film or I search through old stuff or I find quotes, whatever the content is. I find it all within the 2 hours. I plan 5 days ahead. So if it was yesterday, it was Wednesday when I'm actually filming this. I planned out for the next 5 days, right? So now my whole next week up to next Wednesday is planned out for content. I don't have to go film stuff for Instagram. Done. All I got to do, I've even typed out the caption and everything. All I have to do is copy and paste the caption, post the thing. It's done for the next 5 days. So plan out your content or film your content or prepare your content. I know you're excited and you want to drop it now and you want to start doing your videos now, but do a bunch of episodes first, film it, edit it, put it all together, prepare it, and get ahead. Especially if you're a busy person, right? You're going to need to get ahead. If you only got 2 hours a week to dedicate to something, get way ahead, at least a month or 2 months worth of content. Then you can drop it. You can schedule it, right? On YouTube even, you can schedule when you want videos to drop if you want to do that. So if you have it all pre-paved, it's already ready to go, now you don't have to commit every week to, I got to film my video, I got to take my pictures, I got to do my post for Instagram or whatever it is. It's already ready to go. So now it's not stressful. I think the reason that we quit a lot of things that we get excited about is because it becomes overwhelming and we can't keep up with the commitment. So we kind of just fall back. We're like, it's too much. I can't do this, especially if it's not making money. If it's for fun or for, whatever other reason, it falls back because work's got to come first. Kids got to come first. Health's got to come first, whatever. So anyways, plan it out ahead of time. Take 1 day out of the week. Get all your content for the next couple of weeks done. And if that takes you a whole month to be able to do, let's say 8 to 10 episodes, fine. You're still excited about your idea and you're doing the thing, you're just not dropping it yet, right? So then you've got it all ready to go. You can schedule it, boom, every week it posts. There you go. I think that's the major thing why most of us lose the inspiration for something. That's probably 90% of what it is. It's just, it becomes overwhelming. It's too much of a task. So that's the biggest thing. If you've already done that, you already do that, and you feel like you're losing the inspiration for something or losing steam for other reasons, let's talk about that real quick. So other reasons why we lose steam with creative projects and with things that we commit to. One can be that you had the idea not really from the best place. What I mean by that is I talk a lot about the vibrations of emotions. I know it's a little woo-woo for some people, but bear with me here. So if you are kind of in a lower vibration, whether it's feeling frustrated, feeling disappointed, depressed, angry, jealous, whatever, anything that's a lower emotion, desperation's a big one, longing, yearning, those are kind of lower emotions. When you're in that state, the things that inspire you from that state are usually going to lead to more of that state or just a tiny improvement, right? So for example, if you're feeling, this is a big one for me, if you're feeling angry at something somebody said, or you're jealous or bitter because they made fun of you or they said that you weren't cute, I don't know, some stupid shit. Sometimes like you think, oh, I want to write this revenge song, or I'm going to do this hot photo of me looking good because, you know what, forget him, I don't need him, like, or her, whatever. It feels good in the moment, right? Or I'm going to tell this person off. It feels satisfying in that moment because it feels better to feel revenge than it does to feel sad or hurt, right? Or angry. That feels better. So it is a slight improvement from your current feeling, but it's not where you want to end up, right? Usually there's repercussions when you act from that state, almost always. So don't make decisions from your lower emotions. If you're inspired to do something from a lower emotion, recognize, yeah, that would make me feel better right now. You know, it would make me feel more worthy or more loving of myself if I, let's say, went and did this big photo shoot. I don't know, just an example, because I could be looking real good and I'm going to feel good about myself if I do it. It's not bad, but usually what happens is then you spend a shitload of money on doing this thing. You do it. You may not get the results that you wanted to from it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. And then you feel worse after because you're like, I just spent all this money because I wanted to feel better about myself, or I wanted to be a little bit happier than where I was. And now I feel like I did when I started. Or the joy was short-lived. I got all these views and likes and people giving me attention, and then the next week when, you know, it's been a week since I posted the photo, now my attention's gone. Understand that when you're making decisions from the lower emotions, that's what's going to happen. That can be why things will feel inspiring and then they'll fall off later. Because what you really want is something that's higher up there. You want to feel happy, you want to feel healthy, you want to feel joyful. So maybe let yourself get into a better state first when you have an inspired idea and you notice you're not necessarily in the best frame of mind. If it's something that is really for your highest good for yourself, and only you can determine that, give it a little bit of space, get yourself in a better state, go on a walk, meditate, listen to music, whatever makes you feel good and happy, get into that better state first. And if that idea is still around, if it still feels amazing to you when you're in the high vibration state, then sounds like it's something that you should definitely go after. But a lot of times certain things will come. I'll give you a perfect example. I have had so many ideas of new podcasts or videos or content things that I'm going to start posting or doing, probably a million different ones that have been inspired, I thought, out of excitement and, oh yeah, this is a great idea, only to realize later that it was something that came out of wanting more money, needing more money, which ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, when you need money, you need money. But when I was in a state of feeling lack, when I was in a state of feeling like, I really got to up my income, what are some ideas? It's like I'm asking for ideas to come that can up my income. But when these little inspirations come from that state of feeling not enough, of feeling desperate for money, or that state of lack, most of the time they're ideas that I think are creative and wonderful, but really it's like, well, why do I want to do this thing? I want to do it because it's going to get me more views or more money or whatever. And it's not that that's morally wrong or bad, but most of the time that idea is not coming from a place of true inspiration and feeling good. Now, the side effect of something that feels amazing to you can be, of course, and many times is, riches or fame or more attention or validation or whatever it is that you're seeking. That can be a side effect of it. But most of the time when you do something from a place of longing, lack, or any other like negative emotion, it's not going to work out. So I think that's a big one to recognize. Lastly, I think the other reason, at least in my experience, why I lose steam after I've had a lot of creative ideas, or I've been, posting and doing all this stuff and you kind of lose steam, is depression. Like, let's talk about it. It's a big thing. Disappointment, your expectations not being met. Let's say you put out an album or a music video and you had these expectations for success or for people to really listen to it, and you didn't meet your expectations. Nobody listened to it. No one came to your show. It sucks. It sucks to feel let down. It sucks to feel like you failed. But what happens with that is that when you let it go, it definitely turns into depression. And it can really debilitate you, and it can really drain your life force. So you are not alone. I've been there a million times. It's something that I've denied for most of my life, that I had depression, because my depression didn't look like other people's, so I didn't think it was legit, right? Just like we minimize our traumas, because I was never abused as a child, or I didn't have a traumatic, horrifying experience. I don't think that my trauma is really a big deal, right? Many of us do that. So don't minimize how you feel, all right? But understand that if you are just feeling in that funk, you're feeling like, I've just lost all motivation to do this, you'll notice, because you'll have lost motivation to do other things too. Other things that are important to you. Let's say it is exercising, eating good, keeping up with people on social media, or keeping up with your family, or going on dates with your loved one, whatever. You'll lose the desire for those things too. And when you realize that, know that, okay, this is definitely depression setting in. And I'm not here to tell you what you should do in that situation. Whatever is good for you is what you should do. So if you are someone who is really in a tough place, and you've sunk to the point where you feel hopeless, then maybe medication is right for you. Maybe seeing a therapist is right for you. Maybe religion is your thing and that really helps you. That's whatever it is that helps you, do it. For me, it's nature, like being out, and meditation definitely is a good one for me, but it doesn't do what nature does. Going on a nature hike when I can, a nice, slow, easy nature hike where I'm just engulfed in beauty, natural worlds, like I have a very hard time staying in that low place and that feeling of nothingness when I'm out there. It's hard to get yourself to do it when you're feeling depressed. To do anything feels horrible and doesn't feel, it's like too much. It's like somebody broke your arm and you're trying to lift it. Like, it's so hard. Or when you're in a dream and you're like in that slow motion, you're like trying to punch somebody, but it's like slow motion. That's what it feels like. So it's hard, but find the things that, work best for you. Get the help if you need it. But that is definitely one reason why we lose inspiration for things, why we lose steam. It can be because you're in a depression for whatever reason. And so if you're there, it's okay that you're there. Be okay with it. Love yourself. Recognize it. Know that it doesn't have to last forever, and you definitely can get through it. And, don't put so much pressure on yourself. This is why I was talking about planning the content, because if you do it all ahead of time and you've got a bank of, like, let's say 2 months worth of content ready to go, if you get into that depression or tough state where you don't feel so good and you don't want to move forward, you don't have to do it for a while. You can take a break. You can take a couple days, weeks, whatever off, or you can evaluate, like, is it because I don't want to do this anymore, or is it because I'm depressed? But meanwhile, you've got weeks of content already scheduled and going. So you don't have to feel like, oh, cool, another thing that I just stopped doing. Another thing I failed at, or I never followed through on anything. Like, don't give yourself a break, man. Chill out a little bit. But if you have that content already pre-mapped out, ready to go, it definitely helps when you go through, depressions and tough times where you don't feel creative. You don't feel inspired. You just want to quit everything and just sleep, I've been there. It happens to me a lot. So yeah, don't put so much pressure on yourself. I think that's another really big one. But I hope that this was helpful for some people if you're watching, and, take my advice and map out your content ahead of time. Take one day out of your week to create. What you'll notice too when you do that, because at first I was against it. I was very much against mapping out and planning out and pre-creating content before I put it out, because it felt like there's no creativity in that. There's no inspiration if I'm taking a Wednesday and I'm creating all the things I want to put out in the next week or month or whatever. I want to be inspired to write or to sing or whatever. Here's the thing. You are still creating. If you take one day, 2 hours, let's say, to create all this content, you are creating, period. And if you're not really feeling super creative that day doing that thing, well, then maybe that's a day where you do more kind of mundane stuff. You put together more random posts, let's say, like, hey, what do you guys think I should title my next album? Or, this is a picture from my latest photo shoot. What do you think of this edit versus this edit? Like things that don't necessarily require a lot of creative power. if you're not feeling it that day, do some of that stuff. At least you did the job. And the thing about it is that you still get to create as the week goes along. So just because I created 5 posts for next week on Instagram already and they're ready to go, doesn't mean that I don't, document when I get in the studio. I still do all that. And then I've got even more content to post, right? If you get a day off or an extra day where you're like, oh man, I don't have to do any of these things. Now I have 4 hours. Use that 4 hours to do your content, to sing, to write, to take pictures, whatever. You still get to do that. It doesn't mean you can only create in those 2 hours or 5 hours on that day. It just means that you've used 2 hours a week to at least make sure you did something, and any bonus time is even better. So I'm going to stop rambling now. I hope this was helpful to you guys, and I love you very much, and I will see you again soon.